Okay, so we're recording. If you guys could just accept that and we'll get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited. This is our last educational workshop of the year. Seems like we do a lot of them. And this topic is probably the most important for everyone out there who really wants to grow, everyone out there who wants the help of money to really help change their life, right? And it's our budgeting 101 workshop. And this is really the foundation of wealth. This is how you could build wealth without making a ton of money. You don't have to make, $1 million a year or $500,000 a year to be wealthy. You just have to work with what you're given, right? And what you're earning. And that's what we're going to teach today. Now, it's funny because I just came from a meeting, and the meeting I met someone who's very active in the community, someone who gives away millions of dollars a year. And, she's been doing this for a long time, giving millions of dollars away. And we were having a conversation, and she's involved with financial literacy, and we're talking about financial literacy. She was very excited to hear that we're going to be learning about budgeting tonight because, she lives on a budget and multi-millionaire. And she's just like, yeah, sometimes I feel like, I just can't spend that, and she's telling me what she likes spending money on and what she doesn't. But even millionaires like her that are worth a lot of millions, somewhere in the $50 million range, even they have a budget. They just don't go out there and splurge and all that. So she reminded me of that about an hour ago when we were sitting down having a conversation. So with that being said, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I was sitting with another millionaire today. Actually, it's funny now that I'm thinking about it. I'm blessed to know a lot of people that have done very well in their lives. And he was telling me about his friend who's a realtor who's about to sell a really nice property. He's going to earn about a $25,000 commission. And he was telling me, man, yeah, he's going to make that money, but it's going to soon be gone. And what he means by that is he's the person who's going to earn that money, $25,000, which is a lot of money. He's just going to go spend it. And he was telling me from experience, and I know the person too that he's talking about, and I go, yeah, sounds about right. And that's what we're trying to avoid, and that's why we're having this workshop, because we want to be smart with our money. And if we're smart with our money, over time, we're gonna just help our money grow, and then we're gonna become wealthier. And really, that's what it's about. So let's get right into it. This is our financial literacy workshop. Now, a lot of you guys already know me, but those of you who don't, this is a little bit about me. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's important to know who is actually showing you this and teaching you this. So I practiced this my entire life. It wasn't like I'm not living by what I'm preaching, right? So I'm born and raised in San Diego. I started real estate about 20 years ago, and I've helped hundreds of families and educated many people in regards to finances and financial literacy. And about 6 years ago, I became a self-made millionaire, and I already reached retirement level. So I have enough money where I don't ever need to work again. So that's a little bit about me. I have a bunch of properties, and that's basically how most of my income comes in. So this is a really cool quote that I like. Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote, "Rich Dad, Poor Dad." And it says, money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. Think about that. It's like that story I just told you about the realtor who's about to earn a $25,000 fee, and he's most likely going to blow it, just like he's done it for the last 20 plus years, right? Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. Just think about all the people who have won the lottery, who have gone broke and ruined their lives and everything after winning the lottery. Just think about all the athletes that you read about that have earned hundreds of millions of dollars and have gone broke. This is what Robert Kiyosaki's talking about it. And if you don't have this book, you haven't read it, you should probably buy it and read it. And if you already own it, you should read it and read it again. So money without financial intelligence is money sugan. So we have to learn about money. Okay. Did you know just 40% of Americans have $1,000 in case of an emergency? This means 60% will go into debt when it does rain. So $1,000 isn't a lot, especially right now. So if 60% of America doesn't have $1,000 in savings in case of emergency, just think about that. That means that they spend all their money or more. They spend more than what they make on a monthly basis. And if we all think about it, we all know someone like this. Maybe yourself, maybe a family member, maybe a friend. But this is the statistic. It's a crazy statistic. Now, there's a guy named Nipsey Hussle, really cool guy, passed away already, but he had this quote. He says, "Do I continue this lifestyle of shopping, clothes, or do I have to sacrifice a little bit because this is important to me?" That's going to be distinguishing decisions that ends up separating the ones that end up getting it with the ones that don't. And what he was referencing here was a time in his life where he had a lot of money coming in, but he knew that in order to get to where he really wanted to be, he needed to humble himself and discontinue the lifestyle of shopping and clothes and spending money. And he had to sacrifice and live humbly for a while in order for him to get what he ultimately wanted long term. So that's pretty cool for him to realize that, and he ended up accomplishing that. And I've personally gone through this too, where, I mean, I like all the nice stuff, but there's been periods of my life where I've gone without it in order to get something bigger at the end. So what's a budget? A budget is an estimate of how much you will earn and how much you will spend monthly. That's as simple as that. How much you will earn and how much you will spend. And this word right here, it's the B word, right? And I say that because it scares a lot of people away. And this brings me to a story. I have a friend, she's earning over $400,000 a year. It's a lot of money. I mean, she's a high income earner, W-2. She has a great job. She loves it and she makes a lot of money. Now, one time we were hanging out talking, and she tells me she doesn't have any money in the bank, right? She's been making $400,000 for years. And I go, shoot. And I go, you know what? I could help you. I could help you create a personal budget every month. And I'm talking to her just like this. She starts crying and she's shaking her head. And I'm like, what are you crying? Like, what did I say or what? And she goes, don't say that word. I'm like, what word? Budget. And she was like physically shaking. And what I realized then was a budget is a scary word, and it was very scary to her, but she spends all her money every single month, which is crazy. So I don't even know, do the math. 400,000 divided by 12 months. It's like $35,000 a month or something. And the problem is whether you make $35,000 a month or $3,000 a month. If you're not on a budget and you're not financial literate, you're going to spend all of it. And some of you guys may be thinking, wow, if I earned $35,000 a month, I would never do that. Yeah, you would if you're not on a budget, right? And you're not financial literate when it comes to money. Because I've done that, as a young 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old making a lot of money. I've gone through all that and I've spent all that money. So when I was talking to her, it just reminded me that a budget is a scary word. It really is. And it terrifies people. But if you just face it, just like most of your fears, you could get over it and do better. All right. So budget your way to $1 million. In my opinion, this is the easiest way to become a millionaire. You don't have to make a lot of money to become a millionaire. You just have to budget your way to a millionaire. Number two, you tell your money what to do on a monthly basis so that it can work for you instead of you working for the money. Three, we're going to talk about what percentage of your money should you save or should you spend. Four, budget monthly using an app, right? The Mint app. You could use that or a number of other apps. And this is a team effort. This is a scary part too. Your significant other has to be on board. There's no way around it. This is a team effort. So if you're married, if you live with someone, both of you have to be on board. One person cannot do it, right? It's just like, it's like trying to eat healthy. Let's say you want to eat healthy, your significant other isn't on board. Guess what? Eventually, you're probably not going to eat healthy. You're going to be out of shape, not happy, and then you're going to blame it on your significant other. Say, well, I would eat healthy, but my person, always cooking some unhealthy stuff or whatever, right? So making money, budgeting, and becoming a millionaire is the same thing. Both parties have to be on board. If you're single, then you just have to worry about yourself. But if you share life with someone else, including kids, okay? If you have kids, you have to include them in your budget. Why do you have to include your kids or your family or your significant other in your budget? Well, they have to be part of it because they have to understand what you're trying to accomplish, what the goal is. That way, if they're part of it, guess what? When you're at the store and they go, hey, can you buy me this? And you tell them no, they don't think that you're a big meanie. They just understand. You could say, no, we can't. Remember, we have that budget thing and we're trying to accomplish this and we have a vacation at the end of the year, or we're trying to buy a house or we're trying to buy investments. Then they go, oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I don't need that. Compared to you just creating a budget for yourself, not involving your significant other or kids. And then all of a sudden, when your significant other says, hey, we should get a new car, or we should go on this vacation, or we should get this new subscription. And when you say no, they're just not like understanding. Does that make sense? So you have to this is a team effort. Anyone that you live with, that you share life with, you have to share this with them, okay? And at any time, guys, if you guys have questions, feel free to stop me or ask Claudia. I forgot to introduce Claudia Lomeli. She's my co-host. And beautiful hair day, Claudia. I like it. Usually you have a little chongo, but I like the hair today. All right. So why tell your money what to do? Well, because you want to take control of your money, like this guy on the left, compared to most people. This is most people, is the money controls you. Okay. But as soon as you take control of money, things become awesome. So we're going to talk about the envelope system first. Think of the budget categories that you need a cash envelope. Okay, so basically, think of all the categories. So there's entertainment, there's clothing, there's gas, there's restaurants, there's personal, there's gifting, there's hair. What you want to do is figure out your budget for each category. So most people overspend on things like food, coffee, birthdays, baby showers. That's what most people do. But you have to create a budget for each category and stick to it. Okay, and we call this the envelope system. And literally, what it is a bunch of envelopes. Okay, it's a bunch of envelopes, just like this, right? So each envelope, you would write the name of it, right? So you write entertainment for this one, and then you write restaurants for this one. And then inside each envelope, you would put cash in here. Okay, so that's one way to do it. And then if you run out of cash, for example, restaurants, let's say you put $300 for the month. And then every time you go to a restaurant, take out money to pay for that. And let's say the 21st of the month, right? 30 days in a month, on the 21st day of the month, you go to the restaurant and you don't have enough. What do? Right? Most people probably just reach and use your credit card. But if you're part of this envelope system and you really, adhere to it, what you would do is you just walk away, go home and eat at home. So that's the envelope system. And you do that with every part of your life. So there's a couple questions here, right, Claudia?
Yeah.
Why do I want to keep cash in house? Again, you would want to do that if you're having a problem using your cards or tracking any other way. But if you tried the cards and budgeting on an app and that doesn't work, then you would try the envelope system, okay? And then just put amounts of cash in different envelopes. Another question, what percentages do you recommend? Also, how many months of emergency savings? Awesome, 6 months of emergency savings. So that's what I like to keep. And as far as, by the way, you could do as little as 3 months, 3 to 6 months of what you need to spend on a monthly basis. And then what percentages? We're going to go over the percentages in a bit. Okay, Car? Thanks for asking. All right, cool. All right, let's get back to the envelope system. So here we go. Create and fill cash envelopes for the budget categories. So pretend you budget $500 a month for groceries and you get paid bi-weekly. When you get your first paycheck for the month, take out $250 and put it into the envelope and write groceries on it. Then on your second paycheck, take another $250 and put it into the same envelope, right? And then this is how the envelopes look. You could spend money on them by buying them on Amazon, like right here, right? This is pretty cool. Or you could just make them yourself, right? With just regular plain envelopes. This is $5. Again, if you're on a budget, excuse me, if you're on a budget, you might not want to spend money on envelopes like this. You just create them yourself, okay? All right, let's go back here. All right, number 4, spend only what you have in each envelope. You will be tempted to use your debit card, credit card, or cash from other envelopes. Once you run out of entertainment money for the month, don't do it. Get creative. Instead of, go on a hike or go to Netflix. After the first time, it will get easier. All right. Walk Balboa Park for your entertainment. Like I took I have 16 nephews and nieces. I took them out to Dave & Buster's one time and it was a big mistake. I spent $650. And I was like, what? So I told them next time we're going to go to Balboa Park or the beach and just walk around because that was way too much money. All right. The next thing.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Claudia.
No, I wanted to add on right now, the envelope, it kind of brought me back when I had control of my money. It was when I was pulling out my spending money, because paying cash always holds me back from filling up the cart because I see it literally versus just swiping. So I know I had years in the past years, I've done my bills in my card and just spending cash. And every time I'd be like, oh my God, I'm pulling up 100. So
yeah, you feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it a lot more, right, Claudia? It's like, it's easier to be at the bar or with friends and buy everybody a shot with a card. It's easier to pay for dinner for friends with a card. But when you're taking out like cold hard cash and you're counting it out, it's like shit. I went to a high school basketball game yesterday and I got some floor seats for me and my friends, and I took out the money to pay the dude, and like just counting the hundreds, I was just like, it didn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? It would have felt easier if I would have just swipe the card or something. So that's another reason why cash is cool to use sometimes, right? Good point on that. All right. The next one is pay yourself first. Always, no matter what. What does that mean when you hear someone say pay yourself first? That means that you have to put aside your savings before anything. This means that 20% of every dollar you earn and reinvest that money into a safe stock account that earns you 5% over time. So when we say pay yourself first, that means you get $1,000, $200 immediately you put into your savings account, right? Because if you say, well, I'm going to save 20% of all my money and that's how I'm going to get rich, that works, by the way. But then you get paid $1,000 and you're like, well, I got to pay this bill. And, I got my car note and credit card. And then at the end, guess what? You're going to be left with zero. And then you're like, well, you know what? I'll just save next paycheck. That's what most people do. But the people that actually become millionaires, they just pay themselves first. They put 20% away, bam. And guess what? If 20% sounds crazy to you, try 10%. Right? But try to do 20% minimum, and that will make you lots of money. And you know what? Let me just exit this really quick so I could share something with you guys. How do I stop this? Exit. All right, check this out. So I have a bunch of millionaire friends, right? And they shared their thoughts on how to make money. So look at number one advice for millionaire friends. I called a bunch of millionaire friends and I said, hey, what do you guys recommend? I'm teaching at this point in time, I was teaching kids on how financial literacy works and how to become millionaires. Look at what all these guys are saying. This guy right here, he's worth 70 million. Okay, that's a lot of money, 70 mil. He said, save and invest 20% of all your income allowance, download the Robinhood app and buy 10 stocks you like and keep doing that with all the money you earn forever. This guy's been doing this since 1994. Okay. He's been saving 20% of his income since 1994. He's been putting it into the stock market like the SPY or the S&P 500. And he's been doing that since 1994. Fast forward 28 years later, he has $70 million, right? It's called compound interest. It's called paying yourself first. But look at how many guys on here and women look at this person's worth $6 million, said, save even if it's $1. The next person, $3 million, save what you want, then spend the rest, not the opposite. Who was that? I'm trying to remember who told me that. That was pretty good. And then $12 million person said, save and invest those savings. So long story short, guys, it's like the theme over and over and over is pay yourself first or save. And it really works. All right.
We have a question.
Yes, let's do it.
Do you recommend saving or paying off debt first?
Ooh, good question. I would pay off debt, depending on the debt. Depending on what type of debt is it? What type of debt? Or well, I'll tell you, if it's credit card debt, consumer debt, any type of debt that you're paying that isn't an asset, pay that off first, and that you're paying money on. So if you have an IRS debt and they're charging you 8%, okay, that's what they charge you when you work out a payment plan with them. Should you pay that off first, or should you save money in the bank account that's earning 0? The answer is you pay off the debt that they're charging you 8%. Now, if you have a loan on real estate, that's a better type of debt. So what I would do is I would save money as opposed to pay down the principal on the real estate loan. Okay. So it just depends on which type of debt, but credit cards and IRS debt or any debt where it's not an asset, I would just pay that down first. And just like the person I was with tonight, having a conversation, and she's worth somewhere around 50 million. And she, one thing she bragged to me about, she goes, I don't have any debt. I don't have any debt. I never had debt. I don't like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And it's cool talking to people with that type of money, because they love money, and they're like super excited to share, what they do to make that money, keep that money. All right. Next thing is track your spending. What expenses should you track? Everything, every single penny that you spend, and make this a habit. When I say every single penny, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not like just saying that. I really mean it. I'll give you an example. So when I first started doing this many years ago, right, I was going out with a girl at the time, and she would get annoyed because I had an app on my phone, and it was like when iPhones probably first came out, and it was like a little rinky-dinky app. It was literally like plus and minus as far as like the income and expenses. And I remember, like, I would find like a quarter on the ground. I'll find a fucking quarter on the ground. I'll put it on the plus side, like 25 cents as income for the month. And she would look at me like crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, really? And then same thing. We would go to the meter for the car, and I would put like 50 cents in the meter, and I would take out my app, and I would put 50-cent expense. And she was just like, she would get annoyed. Like, I'm talking about like, and I would do this all day, every day for years. And she didn't like that. But that was like when apps first started coming out, and and I just got into the habit of it. And I would do that every single month, day in, day out, day in, day out. And then over time, I started seeing patterns. I'm like, okay, this is kind of how much I make on a monthly basis. Because again, I'm commissioned, I'm 1099. I didn't have like a steady income. So I made, okay, this is how much I make every month, like consistently. And this is how much I spend. And then when you start seeing how much you spend, you're like, oh snaps, I'm spending too much on entertainment, too much on eating out, too much on whatever. And then that's the first step. You become conscious to it, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should chop it down. And then you start creating a budget for yourself. You start creating these goals on a monthly basis, what to spend, what the limit should be, right? So yes, Claudia said, but look at you now. Exactly. I wonder if she'd be annoyed now, huh? No, just like, so depends on your situation. Let's see here. Debt first, don't pay interest, creditors or predators. All right.
Someone on Facebook is asking, what's the app name?
Herla, thanks, Rachel. No, so that app is like debunked. They don't even have that one anymore. But the one that we looked into is Mint. That's the one that everybody likes and everyone's using. And it's like way more complicated. Someone said Dave Ramsey has a cool budgeting app called Every Dollar. It's free. Cool. I like Dave Ramsey. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I read his book, and I went through his university that he has for budgeting and saving and all that, debt-free, university, which was good. So you guys should look into that app in the chat box. Okay, so when I say everything, I mean everything. Count every penny you ever spent. All right, this is the great Nipsey Hussle, the great. He said, I had to take 2 steps back to take 10 forward. This is us in LA at a shoe store, super OG. But he said, I had to take 2 steps back to take 10 forward. And again, this is a period in his life where he really wanted to advance, but he was just overspending, right? And he needed to save money in order to invest in his career and in himself. So he cut out the fancy car. He sold his car, right? He wasn't going out spending a bunch of money and partying and doing all these things. So there's a lot of people, successful people like him, who understand this, and it's just sacrifice. That's what it comes down to. So, all right. Pay off your debts. Concepts of money to consider. So here's some concepts to consider. A, when you pay cash, it always costs less. You save/make money, right? Because they said every dollar saved is a dollar earned. So what do I mean by that? When you pay cash, I'll give you a couple examples. I go to a farmer's market, right? Every Sunday I go to a farmer's market. Now I know which vendors charge you if you use a credit card. They charge you a 25-cent processing fee, a 50-cent processing fee. Restaurants too. You go to restaurants, they charge you a processing fee for cards. So I always ask, even at the farmer's market, do you guys charge if I use my card? And if they say yes, I say, can you waive it? They say no, then I just take out the cash. And like Claudia said, it hurts to pay the cash, right? You're like, okay, you're giving out cash. Same thing with anything. When you finance it, like a car, it's going to cost you more. When you finance layaway or credit cards to go shop at Nordstrom's, it's going to cost you more. So when you can, pay cash. All right. B, and by the way, financing fees and all that stuff, that's like the worst for me. Like credit card fees, don't try to avoid all of that. B, when you finance something, it always costs more. Okay, we went over that. C, cash on hand / carrying debt. So again, going back to the envelope system, if you need to, if you're in debt, by the way, if you have credit card debt and different types of debt, except mortgage. Mortgages are okay. I'm okay with having mortgage debt. But if you're carrying around debt, you should consider the envelope system. And but this concept right here, cash on hand versus carrying debt. So somebody asked us about this earlier. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a client come in one time, right? A family member, and he says, I want to buy a house. And I go, great. How much do you have for the down payment? $25,000. I go, 25,000. Awesome. And I started asking about the finances. Do you have any debt? Yeah, we have debt. What type of debt? Credit card. Credit cards. Okay. How much? 20,000. And I go, 20,000 in credit card. And you've had this for how long? I've had this for a while. I pay the monthly fee or the to have the credit card. So I said, how much are you paying on your credit card? He says like 18%, right? So he has 25,000 in the bank, but he has $20,000 debt in credit card. And I said, why don't you pay off your credit card? He says, because I want to have liquid. I want to, in case of an emergency, I want cash. And I told him, no, pay off that 18% credit card because they're charging you basically money. They're charging you a fee to borrow your own money because you have the cash in the bank. Just pay it off. That way you have zero debt. You're saving 18%. Okay, 18% a month on $20,000. So just pay it off. And yeah, guess what? You're going to have $5,000 left in your bank. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to look good. But at least if there is an emergency, guess what? Everyone accepts credit cards these days. Everyone accepts credit cards. So if there is an emergency, then you get back into debt. Okay. So that's the concept here, is that if you guys have cash in your bank account, at home or whatever, but you're carrying debt, get out of that mindset. You don't need to be liquid if you have debt. All right. Somebody asked, is it good to pay off credit card debt with a HELOC? All right, that's a more complicated question. Is it good? If you understand money and you're able to kind of, if you have a budget and you're good with money, then yeah, that's fine. Why? Because you have credit card debt at 18% and your HELOC is probably like 7%. So now what you're doing is you're trading the 18% debt down to 7% debt. Or, I'm assuming that's what your HELOC is. So should you do something like that? If you're responsible with your money, yes. Okay. And the reason why I say if you're responsible, because if you're not responsible with your money, you don't have a good history with being responsible, then what could happen is you get yourself in debt with your HELOC And then now you're putting, if you're not making payments on that, you can lose your house. Compared to if you're not making payments on your credit card, then you just fuck up your credit, right? So, but you don't lose your house. So that's why I'm saying that. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. Good question, though. I like it. These are all questions that people have, right? So whatever question you guys have, ask so everyone else can learn. D, I just went over that. Does it make sense to have $10,000 cash for an emergency if you have $15,000 in debt? You should use the $10,000 cash and pay down the debt to $5,000. Ways to eliminate debt. 1, create a family budget. And look at what words I use. I said family budget, right? So if you're a family, you have to use a family budget, not as, your own budget and the family doesn't have one, okay? Number 2, use cash on hand to pay off all debt. Number 3, stop bringing on new debt. So if you're at the furniture store, you see a nice sofa, don't buy it. Stop bringing in new debt. If you're trying to get out of debt, stop bringing in a new one. Number 4, use the envelope system. Number 5, if you have debt, use the debt snowball, which we've gone over in previous workshops. Here it is. Okay, hopefully I don't get hacked. Back to safety. Learn more. All right, so Claudia, what you could do is, can you search in Drive for the debt snowball example that I have, and then maybe you can share it. Cool. Thank you. All right, so we'll go over the debt snowball in a bit, how to do that. Number 6, stop loaning money to people. Teach them how to fish or have a relationship destroyed because of, all right. I don't know why I wrote all that, but okay. So number 1, stop loaning money to people. This is a lesson I learned many years ago. People would always ask me for money and I would loan it to them. And what I was doing was I wasn't helping them long term. I wasn't helping myself, definitely not, because I'm giving money away. And it did put a strain in the relationship, honestly, right? Because there is a master-servant relationship that is established, right? They talk about it in the Bible. It's just at the end of the day, whoever is loaning out the money is the master, and then whoever is receiving the money is a servant, okay? So a long time ago, when I decided to stop loaning people money, people would come up to me and they would ask me, hey, can I borrow, money? And they tell me their story and I go, hey, let me stop you right there. I made a decision not to lend anybody money. I don't let anybody borrow money. Family members, my mom, nobody. And I tell them this. And I go, so I don't want to ruin our relationship, but I just can't. And guess what happened? I thought people were going to hate me. I thought people were going to be like, man, yeah, screw you. Dude, they'd be like, I understand. They would hang up the phone and call the next person. Imagine that, right? So people will ask, but if you just say, hey, look, I have this policy, I just don't do that, they'll respect it. You won't ruin a relationship, and then they'll just pick up the phone and call the next person. All right. And the next thing is,
I found the.
Oh, okay, let's share it. Let's share it. The debt snowball.
This one. Can you see
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is the debt snowball. I don't know if we have it filled out. Go to the second page.
that? Oh, I don't think we do.
Oh, we didn't. Okay, because we have an example somewhere in there where it's paid off. I mean, where it shows, but let's look at the top real quick. Maybe I could explain it. Okay, step 1. You write down all your debts on this sheet. Okay, diagnostic, and then the total payoff. So let's say you have a diagnostic bill for $50. You have a hospital bill for $460. You have a Home Depot credit card for $770. Okay, you write them all down. And then you write down the minimum monthly payment. So for the diagnostic, it's $10 a month. For the hospital bill, it's $38 a month. And then the Home Depot card, it's 45 minimum monthly payments. So what you do is you focus. Step 2, zoom in a little bit so we can all read it. Step 2, there we go. So you attack the smallest debt by paying as much on it as you possibly can. So you list them from smallest debt to the largest debt. Okay, that's how you list it. So you attack the smallest debt by paying as much on it as you possibly can. Once you pay one debt off, take what you were paying on that one and add it to the minimum monthly payment of the next debt. As the snowball rolls over, it picks up more snow. Get it? So right there where it says if you owe $10 minimum on diagnostic, you pay as much of it as possible. You focus on that one until it's paid off. Once you pay it off, then you use that $10 and you add it to the hospital bill of $38. Now you're paying $48 a month. Then you pay it off while you focus on that one. And then once you pay off the hospital bill, then you focus on the Home Depot card of $45 a month. So you add 48 plus 45, that gives you $93. Now you're paying towards the principal every month as much as you can until you pay it off. And over time, you're debt free. And I have a lot of clients and a lot of friends that have used this, just this simple sheet. Scroll out a little bit so you can see the second page. And they list all their debts from the smallest to the largest, just one pager, this simple sheet. And they've gotten themselves out of debt. Okay, so I love this sheet, super basic. Dave Ramsey teaches it. Okay, thank you. So now let's go back to this. Oops, stop cash advances. You're losing tons of money. What's cash advances? That's when you go to like a cash advance place or liquor store or something, and then you trade in your check, or they give you advance on your check, and then they charge you all kinds of fees. Actually, that was a business that I thought I was going to get into, because I'm thinking, man, they make so much money. But then I was like, man, I can't do that to people. Or can I? I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. But you shouldn't be getting cash advances. All right. Number 8, pay cash instead of credit. We talked about earlier. Farmers markets. I wonder if they hate me. I don't know, because I'm always in there just asking if they're going to charge me fees or whatever. Restaurants use cash instead of credit, and mom and pop shops. So all those small places, they charge you fees on your credit card. And by the way, I always ask, is it cheaper if I pay cash? And if they say yes, I buy cash. Okay, so those are little things that I do on a daily basis. Okay, cool. Let's get into this. This is going to be pretty interesting. This is the actual budget itself, okay, that you guys could use. And I think it might be a little bit too small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit, and I'm just going to, let me exit this and show you guys. All right, can you guys see this, Claudia? Can you see this monthly cash flow plan? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right, so this is the budget that you guys could use. This is a simple version, okay? So there's levels to it. You start off with this simple one. Once you master this, then we could go into a more detailed one. But this is really good, okay? So you start at the top, and by the way, if you guys want a copy of all this, what we could do is, Claudia, if we don't have your emails already, just direct message them to Claudia, and then we can make sure that you guys get an email with this budget sheet. Okay, so monthly take home, you put it at the top right here, $10,000 as an example, okay? So let's say that your family makes $10,000 a month take home income. All right, so you put 10,000 up here. So what do you do first? The first thing you do is what? Could somebody answer that? I want somebody to answer that. When you're building out your budget, what do you do? What's the first thing you write in here out of all
Your
this?
bills?
Rent.
No.
20% to yourself.
Yes, thank you. 20% to yourself. Yeah, who was that? That's somebody who was listening. That's who it was. All right. So 20% to yourself. Right here, you see this? Savings. That's paying yourself first. And that's what all these millionaires, my friends and clients, that's what they kept saying. Pay yourself first, pay 20%, save 20%, save, 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 right? So out of the 10,000 right away, 2,000 immediately goes into a fund. Whether it's a savings account or some type of stock account that's interest bearing. So you put 2,000 right off the bat. So now you're left with 8,000, right? Now, I want you guys to get here one day, because if you guys get here one day, that means that your life's going to be amazing. Give away $1,000, 10%, right? So once you get to this point, it's just, it's going to be a good thing for you guys. And if you guys can't do 10%, all right, do less, do 1%, do 2%. But I truly believe in helping others. And when you help others, you know, life's just better for you. All right. And then from there, on the left side, you put how much you spent and how much you budgeted. So in this example, groceries budget was 1,000, and then you end up spending 1,000. Grocery budget was $250, and then you end up spending $250. So the total here is $1,250. And by the way, somebody asked earlier, what percentages should you use? And hold on a second, there's a couple people in the waiting room. Adam. So this is the percentages right here. It tells you food, you should spend 5 to 15% of your total budget on food. Transportation, it tells you right here, 10 to 15% of your total budget on transportation. So right here, gas and oil, we budgeted $500 because gas went up, but you end up driving a little bit less and you end up spending $300. Clothing, nothing that month for clothing, but 2 to 7% of your budget, right? So these little kids are running around dirty, no laundry done that month. All right. So it's like what you like to do, right, Claudia? You just wash every 2 months. I like that. All right. Next thing, mortgage. Okay, so you put your $3,300 a month for your mortgage or your rent, and this is, you see down here, 25 to 35%. That should be the amount that it goes towards your housing, right? So in this case, it's $3,300. And let me zoom in case you guys can't see. Utilities. Okay, you budgeted $110 for electricity, but guess what? It was only $100 this month. You budgeted $120 for gas, for water, but it was a little bit more, $130. Mobile phone, $90. Internet, $75. And then nothing for medical as far as bills or nothing. Next page, you have your health insurance. So you have $350 budgeted, $350 spent. Some of these bills, by the way, they're just reoccurring. It's the same amount every single month. And others change. You know, your auto insurance, $100. So this says for insurance, 10 to 25%, I think that's way too high. I think this is incorrect, but anyways, $450 here. Recreation, 5 to 10%. So entertainment, budget at $500, but guess what? You did a great job this month. You only spent $300. You have your car payment, $460. You have your credit card, $300, and you spent $300. Great job there. And again, 5 to 10% on this little category. Then you have your personal, your subscriptions. You can put your Netflix over here. You can put your pet supplies, and then pocket money. Like Claudia said, she has her little spending money that she puts aside every single month. So you just put how much money you're going to spend in cash for miscellaneous things, right? So what's the goal of the budget, guys? The goal is that you account for every single dollar that you earn. So if you earn $10,000 a month, you account for it.
Deduct money from your benefits if you make over a certain amount.
Oh, hold on. There we go. Thanks. Okay. So you're accounting how much you make. So if you make 10,000, you tell each dollar where it's going to go every single month. Does that make sense? And very few people, I would want to say 1 out of 100, actually have a budget and follow it. But imagine if you make 10,000, you tell, before you even get the 10,000, you tell your money where it's going to go. You say, okay, I'm going to put 20% in a savings account. I'm going to give 10% away. I'm going to spend $1,000 on groceries, $250 in a restaurant. That's when you're powerful. That's when you're taking control of your money. And guess what? At the end, the goal is this: use the income, total income. You add up all your expenses to 10,000, right? Because you're telling your money where to go. And then at the end of this entire thing, you have $0 because everything's accounted for. You have your money in your savings, you have your money to your groceries, you have your money to your subscriptions, your spending money, your entertainment money, and at the end, you're left with zero. So every month, guys, and again, I just want to make this clear. Every single month, I do this, and I have a zero-based budget. Okay, meaning at the end, I just like you saw, it says zero, meaning I spent everything. And obviously, I pay myself first, and then I pay my other bills. But every single month, I have a zero-based budget. Got it? So whatever you end up making, make sure you tell it where to go. That way, you're like, okay, cool. Every dollar is accounted for. Any questions on this? Because I know this one's kind of the actual form, and this is the whole class. So I know it gets kind of, there might be some questions about this budget plan. Any questions, comments? Yep, pay yourself. Yep, exactly. Tithe. Yep. So that's so okay, let's go back then. And all right, so here are some reference pages. Let me see. Envelope system explained. If you want these, probably could throw these in the chat if you guys want to read up more on the debt snowball and how it works. And in case you guys haven't read, this is a good book to read. I read this book, awesome book, and it talks about how to just live a debt-free life. Total money makeover. Highly recommend it. Okay. And then this is, again, this is number one advice for millionaire friends, how to become wealthy. And again, my buddy that's worth $70 million, save and invest 20% of all the income and allowance that you ever make, and download the Robinhood app and buy 10 stocks that you like. Keep doing that with all the money you earned forever. So you're not going to get rich, and it's not going to change your life if you start this and then you stop it. It just won't. It's consistent over time, over and over and over and over. And by the way, after a while, it gets a lot easier. At first, it's hard, but it's almost like trying to lose weight. If you don't step on the scale and see where you're at, you're not going to lose no weight. You're not going to be healthier. So this budget, it's like a scale for money, okay? You figure out where you're at, you track it for a few months, and then you're gonna be like, oh shoot, I'm overspending on this, on whatever it is, whether it's entertainment or whether it's food or whether it's your car note or whether it's credit cards. And then you start to adjust and you start to get better. So that's our time for the night. If you guys have any questions, I think we have some announcements, Claudia, right? What do we got to announce?
Yes, we have a toy drive that we are collecting new toys, unwrapped toys through December 21st here at the office. So you guys can get a hold of your favorite Lepe Tendwell agent and drop them off here at the office. And then we also have a vision board party December 2nd. The office, I forgot to write down the time. Let me look. 6:30 to 7:30. So we'll have supplies. You can, if you would like to RSVP, you can send me a DM right now and I'll make sure to add you to it. And then please leave us a review on our platforms if you enjoyed this class on our Google or Yelp page. And lastly, if you would like to join our monthly newsletter, you can drop your email on the chat as well, and I will add you, and Voltaire sometimes pours his heart out on them. So you can get it. You can get it once a month.
Yeah. If you want to see me vulnerable, yeah. So going back to the we've been doing a toy drive for many years now. I forgot how many years, but if you guys want to help the community, it goes to the kids. And I'm doing it. We started it because I remember as a kid, a big truck pulled up one day to the neighborhood I was living in Logan, and all of a sudden they like opened up the back of the truck and it was like a bunch of presents, and then they started handing out to all these kids, including me. And I was just thinking, man, I'm like thinking like, damn. At first I was like, man, these guys are dumb. They're like handing out these free toys, and I was like all happy. But then later on, I figured out that it's people that really cared, and it definitely made an impression on me as a kid and a bunch of other kids that didn't have anything back then. So it's again, I believe in giving back. So if you guys want to participate, just drop it off here at the office. And Leslie, she said, I still have a teddy bear from one of those. And, you know, Leslie, she grew up in Logan too. So that's awesome. I do have a question. Will this video be saved and added to your link of workshops? Yes, it will. It'll be on YouTube, just like the rest of them. You guys could jump on and check them out again. And yeah, I hope you guys got you know, something positive out of tonight. I hope you guys actually do a budget. And if you do in the future, reach out, ask questions, let me know how it's going. And hopefully in the future, you can say, hey, you know what? I'm doing a budget and it's going great. And it changed my life because now I have like savings and I paid off my debt. It's awesome. So I like to hear those stories. We'll talk later. All right. Peace out. Have a good night. All right. Our pleasure. Let's stop the recording here.